Hey, everybody, and we are live Thursday night, March 3rd, Treasure Hunting Amusement Park. And today's ride is a little book called Xavier Marx and the Missing Masterpieces. And I'm very happy to have co creator of this book and of this treasure hunt, Sean Cronin. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I know more than quite a few people have been having fun working on this book. Frustrating fun, but fun nonetheless. So, I know you got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people send some questions in, which we'll get to. I tried to filter them and consolidate them. You may get the same question multiple times. We'll see what we can do here. But so how's it going as far as the book? I mean, how are book sales? How is from your perspective? The hunt's been out about 4 months now, I think, somewhere around
Yeah, the
there.
hunt's been out for about 4 months. You know how book sales go. We'd always like to sell more.
Mhm.
Right now, we're still trying to create that buzz. We've got the few celebrities that have done what they've done, which I think is awesome.
That is cool.
We're,
Yes.
we're still hoping to get some media exposure or something that kind of gets the ball rolling a little bit bigger. But we're got a lot of good feedback from the people that are participating, and definitely like that. So you know, anything that we do down the road, we're going to take into account all the feedback. The good and the bad.
And this is the first treasure hunt you've created?
Correct. Yeah, this first one that both me and Hillary both have created. Yeah.
Gotcha. And there'll be some questions on how you guys met later on here. Um, but one of the questions that I got was from more than one person, I should say, was where'd you get the inspiration for doing the book? And I guess what they really want to know is what your treasure hunting background is.
Yeah. So Hillary was a forest fen searcher. I'm not sure exactly what her extent was, but I know she was involved in that. And for me, I didn't know anything about it. So I think it was after the forest fen hunt was, found or whatever happened there.
Hmm.
Hillary and I were talking about that, and sort of from there, it was like, yeah, we both had to have this shared interest. And so I think the next hunt that came up was the Great US Treasure Hunt. So
Hmm.
we kind of teamed up on that. We're like, okay, we'll work on this together and just kind of have fun with it and see what happens. And it was one of those ones where it's like, well, we solved one of the puzzles, but we weren't the first person to get there and actually win the prize. So we
Ah,
kind of
okay.
experienced that the super high of having solved something with the super low of, well, somebody beat you there. And so from there, we're kind of like, all right, we enjoy puzzles, but we also enjoy, at least for me, I can say I enjoy making puzzles as well, in different areas. I'd never
Mhm.
made a treasure hunt before, but I've always had an interest in solving puzzles of various types. So we were like, all right, let's sort of create something and see what we can do. And it sort of just morphed into what it morphed into, based on all these different inspirations. Obviously, when I went to create the treasure hunt, we said, all right, let's do a lot of research on all the different types of treasure hunts that have come before. And
Mhm.
I think obviously one of our main inspirations is Masquerade, which we really like that idea of when you buy into something, it kind of feels like sometimes you buy into a treasure hunt and it's like you don't feel like you really got anything out of it, if you lose. Or if like you get the treasure hunt and you're like, this isn't even my style anyway. So we kind of wanted there to be something tangible where you can say, okay, at the end of this, hopefully, I believe we've created a good book. You can say, I got the book no matter what. And if I win the treasure hunt, that's a bonus.
Well, it's a good story. I mean, yes, you could consider it a kids or a children's book, but it's a good story to read. And then when you figure out that, hey, there's a $10,000 prize involved, if we can just figure out what these darn clues are, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I encourage anybody who's on the fence or hasn't picked it up, down below in the description is the link to Amazon. This is the book. As you can see, children's book, a lot of pictures. Um, and also down there is the Instagram, the Facebook. What else is down there? What that is where they can get all the info is really Instagram, correct?
Yeah, so we kind of want to have one place where you can go for everything, and that's Instagram. So if we ever
Mhm.
post something to Twitter, if it's important, it's also going to be on the Instagram, anything like that. So, for example, the celebrity tweets, they're all on Instagram as well. So you can feel
Gotcha.
comfortable you're not missing out on anything as long as you're on the Instagram.
Okay. Um, so some of the, and these aren't in any particular order, but some of the questions that came in from searchers. So why did, just so people know that there are kids who drew these paintings that are in the book. And the question is, why did one child get three paintings included? Because there's one that has three in there, right?
Yeah, there's
Teacher's
one.
pet, or what's going on there?
I mean, very astute observation. Could it be important? I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how much I want to say on necessarily anything like that because there's there's one way that you can solve the treasure hunt, and then there's a lot of ways people can go wrong. And so I don't necessarily want to get in the habit of just eliminating every way that people could go wrong.
Okay.
But in terms of actually working with these kids, it's something that we were super excited to do. Obviously, we're working with the International Child Art Foundation. If we can make a lot of money on this, it's all going to them. Personally, we're not taking a penny from this. We're not going to make any money off this. We're trying to support this great cause. And so we kind of worked with them on the getting what pictures we could get from them, and yeah.
So just to be clear, these are actual paintings from kids. It's not like you made that part up. They are real paintings that were submitted, correct?
Correct. Yeah. It's real kids art, and I think that's what kind of the whole book's about, right? It's about kind of how kids can produce this art and it can turn into masterpieces. And hopefully, it can inspire maybe a kid reading it that wants to pick up, some sort of instrument and create their own artwork, something like that. But yeah, I didn't draw any of the kids' art, so.
Right. But I'll ask, I don't know if you can answer it, but the kids' paintings that are in the book, those are fair play as far as clues. They could be something they were supposed to find, possibly.
Sure. Yeah, okay. I mean, everything in the book, including, the cover, all the way through, could be a clue. It doesn't necessarily mean every page has a clue, but it means every page could have a clue. I don't really want to rule anything out as like not being a clue. I think we've made a couple corrections, which we've put on the Instagram, which were just kind of things I thought maybe like affected either the integrity of the book or the story. Like we spelled one of the child's names wrong. It's like, I don't want people feeling like they have to stalk these kids. They're real kids, they're real artists. And
that makes it even more fun. I mean, that makes it even more fun that they are real. I just don't
want anyone to get too obsessed and be like, why did they spell this little girl's name wrong? How do I really spell it? So it's like, I'll correct that. Or like we had the year wrong on like one of the, I think Pablo Picasso painting. And it was just a true typo. Like we really meant to have it one way. Yeah. So I just corrected that as well. But in terms of like correcting every little thing, I don't necessarily want to get too much into that,
Because it narrows down what's important, right?
Yeah. And there could be a point where it's like, you ask about the 3 paintings. Maybe it's important, maybe it's not. But if I make a habit of correcting every little thing and then suddenly I don't correct one thing, it'll be a giveaway.
Okay. So from what you've seen in the community or what's been sent to you, is anyone close? Or is anybody on the right path? Can you say?
Hard to say. I mean, there's a lot of people that think they're close. So whether they are or not, I guess, they'll find out.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that aren't telling me where they're at too. I get very limited feedback. Obviously, I love all the feedback I get. Whenever somebody tells me what their theory is or whatnot, I enjoy hearing it.
Okay.
I know there's like a lot of people that think similar things, and then there's other people that think separate things. I think there's people that have figured things out and are keeping things to themselves. And so it's just kind of interesting seeing like the different stages people are at. And, there have been a couple people that have been like, I think in our rules, it says like, if you think you know where it is and the proxy's not there, we kind of just want to cover our bases in the rules. There've been a couple of people that have sent me where they've searched and said, are you sure the proxy's still there? And so I can say, yes, the proxy is still there, but that's all we're going to tell you. You're not going to get like a bonus clue out of us if you do that.
And you're like, you're not even in the right state, but you don't want to say that, right?
Because I can't say whether or not they are or not. Yeah. Right. There's definitely like kind of interesting groupthink though, too, when you have like the groups that are out there. It's if somebody comes up with something that's maybe wrong, but sounds incredibly right, then all of a sudden everyone hops on that and nobody's able to think of the right answer for themselves. So whether or not that's what's happening here, I'm not sure, but it's interesting that so many people are working hard and I don't know where they're at. We'll see.
So there is a Facebook group, and I've seen people post various theories in that Facebook group. And I've talked to some people that are like, we're right there. We're 95% sure. And this was from a month ago. And then you don't hear anything. It's like, maybe they were wrong. I don't know. I don't know what happened. That's interesting for sure. Okay, so we got to get into it because that people are going to ask. As far as the puzzle, are there multiple ways to arrive at the correct location? There's only one method solved to find the proxy.
That's an interesting question.
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't really thought about it. I'm not sure. There could be more than one way.
There could be more than one way. So
I don't think there's more than 2 ways, but there could be.
Might be 2. There might be 2. Okay. Because you and Hillary did design the clues, the treasure hunt aspect,
yeah,
right?
As well, everything we did, we kind of worked together on. So
okay. Was, if you want to answer, was it you or Hillary that actually hid the proxy item wherever it may be?
Yeah, these are all good questions, right?
Yeah, people are gonna want to know, and that's what I get sent. I'm just a messenger over here.
I will say that either me or Hillary hid the proxy item.
Okay, and that's
So
fair.
it wasn't someone else.
Gotcha. So one of you two, okay, or maybe you did it together. You never know.
Good at
Can you say how many puzzles that need to be solved in order to find the location?
that. Maybe if we get some more book sales, I'll tell you that part. For now, I won't say that part.
And there's another treasure hunt creator out there that has milestones, and when he hits the milestone, he gives a hint. So maybe you guys could do a drum up some book sales maybe by doing it that way. I guess
Yeah.
you'd have to think that through and see how that would work, huh?
I definitely will say though, like I think like with just the book, you can solve it. Like I know there's some people that release hunts and you kind of need the everything else, the stuff that comes down the road because they want to control how it's solved. Like we had that fear, will ours be solved on day one? And you just
Right.
don't know.
Well,
So I
4 months
think
in,
anyone that's like worried about like, oh, what are they doing with these clues? I need these clues. It's like, well, you have the book, so I feel like you have enough that you could solve it.
everything you need is in the book.
Yeah.
You just have to solve it, but everything you need is in here, correct?
Everything you need to solve it's in there. I mean, at some point you have to go to a location and
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
you might need something with the book. You might just, but at
Mhm.
some point you're gonna have to end up in a location using the book. Yeah.
Does the book tell you specifically where to go if you solve everything? I mean, it'll tell you right where
If
to
you've
go.
solved everything in the book,
Mhm.
you're gonna just go there and you're gonna grab it. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And I guess that's how a good treasure hunt or successful treasure hunt should work. Hopefully, it's not a general area and then it becomes an Easter egg hunt where you got to look everywhere. Do
Yeah.
you think if somebody was in the right general vicinity, could they find it? If they didn't solve the last piece, but could they look everywhere and try and find it? And find it?
I think it would be unlikely. I think you're gonna need to solve everything in order to find it, but
Okay.
it's solvable. Yeah.
Question from Apollo. What are the area boundaries of this hunt? When they say proxy, someone will find a proxy and then exchange it for the prize. And I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. So the area boundaries, it's somewhere in the continental United States. So, the 48 contiguous United States. And what was the second part of the question?
Uh, there's a proxy. They turn that in to get the prize, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So we didn't want to just put $10,000 out there just in case somebody could find it. Um, I don't think anyone will, but just
Okay.
in case, we try to cover all our bases. We don't want to
Uh,
end up with, the end of a hunt that's all fuzzy. I've seen a lot of these hunts that end, and I want our hunt to end, and everyone sees the solution, and they're go, oh yeah, I could have solved that. That's cool, or whatever.
right. And you will come out with a solution when it's found, correct?
Definitely.
Okay. Is there an end date, or are you going to let it go if it's 5 years from now and still nobody's found it? You're just going to let it go until it's found. Until it's found.
I mean, if I suspect it will be solved this year.
Okay.
I mean, it could be solved very soon. It could be solved at the end of the year. Um,
But you do think it'll be found by the end of the year? Because that was one of the questions I
that
had.
would
Is
be
you
my
again?
guess. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a guess, though. You never know. It could be solved tomorrow. It could be solved way down the road. In terms of like giving more clues, like we've kind of been given a clue whenever we can get a celebrity to kind of help us out because we are
Mhm.
trying to get those book sales just so that A, we can raise some money for this great cause. And
Right.
then B, so we can kind of extend the community of treasure hunters, as wide as we can. And if we can bring more people into the community, I I didn't know anything about treasure hunting, a couple of years ago. And, I find it fascinating. I think there's a lot of people out there like me that if they can just get exposed to something like this, they'll be a member of the community for life.
Yeah, right, 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 for sure. Um, so for the celebrity clues, and for those who don't know, Sean and Hillary know some celebrities, and they got them to tweet out some clues, and you can see all of those at their Instagram page. Is there more to them? Is there more to the clues that these celebrities have put out, more than just hinting at a common location? I think some people are having a hard time trying to figure out what the clues mean. So is there more to it than just hinting at a common location?
How many clues have we had? Like four so far? It's hard to
Four.
keep track.
Yeah, yeah.
um, Yes.
Okay, so there is more to it than just the common area. There's something more to it. Okay.
I mean, there's four four clues. So yeah, they're not all like the same thing. We're not just like gonna put out
Mm.
100 clues that all just say it's in wherever.
And how many clues you got ready? You're just waiting for the celebrities to put them out. I mean, have you guys thought this through and you kind of have a set number that you want to release?
There's no set number. Personally, for me, like when I do a treasure, like when I'm like competing in a treasure hunt, I
Hmm.
don't really like clues at all. And I know there's some people in the community that they're kind of like that too. So
Right.
it kind of just depends, you know. For us, I think the biggest thing we're learning is like book sales. Like we want to create this treasure hunt, but we also have to kind of learn how do we sell books as well. How do we
Hmm.
make money on this? Not necessarily, like I said, you know, we're trying to raise money for the International Child Art Foundation. It's not even for ourselves. We're just trying to think, you know, how do we extend this beyond the community? And that's kind of our biggest struggle right now. So as far as the clues, that's just one avenue we're pursuing right now, in order to try to generate some buzz.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't know where this question's coming from, but are there more than 5 puzzles in the book?
I mean, more or less, I don't know. I don't even
So you
know, like,
answer.
even knowing the answer, I don't know how to answer that question. It's kind of a weird question.
Yeah. Are there more than 5? Well, I'm assuming
It
this
depends what
person
you
has
call
figured
a
out 5
puzzle, really,
puzzles.
because some people say a puzzle, a clue, a hint, and it's all kind of fuzzy.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I guess you kind of touched on this. Is there more than one method used in the book? So, in other words, whatever we need to solve, is there different methods to solve different things?
Um, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair. I don't think you're giving anything away if you say yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I
Uh,
was asking. Yeah.
well, here's an interesting one. Are the puzzles multi-step solves? More than one
What
step in order to
what do you
solve
think they
something.
mean by that?
So, in other words, there could be something that you convert, but then you've got to do something else with that information. You convert it in another way. I won't go into details of what people think, but you solve something, but that's not the answer. You've got to use that and solve it in another way to get the final answer.
If there was something like that, it would be intuitive, you know?
Hmm.
It's not kind of random. Like there's things I like about like the Great US Treasure Hunt for people that know that one. There's things I
Hmm.
love about that hunt, and there's things I
Right.
don't like. So I would say ours is different from theirs in terms of that one felt kind of like you're just trying 100
Yeah.
different things and a million different things until maybe
There
you
was no
stumble
direction.
across the right thing. I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like our hunt is more intuitive. People might feel differently.
Okay. Okay. So the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt really didn't have any direction. It was just here's a story, figure it out. Are you saying that there's hints or clues in the book that kind of tell you what to do if you figure out what they mean?
Possibly.
Possibly. All right. Here's a fun one. What page do the puzzles and codes start on?
Like I said, everything's fair game from cover to cover. So I would not take anything for granted.
All right. Any hints about the Roman numerals in the book?
What page is that?
Oh, you know what page it is. I can look it up for you if you want me to. I'm going to say 41 off the top of my head, but I haven't. I actually put the book down for a little while.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
You
about.
know what page? And that's
Any hints
actually
from the
page
Roman?
31 for the record. Page 31. Here, I'll just show everybody. There it is. That's the page we're talking about, everybody. Any
People
hints
want
at
hints
all
on
for
that?
that?
I don't know. I'll keep that in mind if we can get another celebrity.
Okay, something to put out. Yeah, that's fair. Um, we know because I think you've talked about it that you and Hillary met through this wordplay website. Is wordplay a big part of the solve?
Not, I mean, possibly anything is possible. Um, yeah, that website was created by Jesse Eisenberg. That's our link to him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting. Okay. Have you got any feedback from Jesse? Has he read the book? I mean, has he, said
yeah,
anything about the book? Yeah.
yeah.
Is
I
he
mean,
trying to solve it, or does he know the solution and he's not eligible to?
I don't know if I can say. I don't know if I can
Okay.
answer that part.
Because I know he's got a clue in here, so it might make sense that maybe he knows more than he should. So, okay, I got it. So here's an interesting one. I got an email from somebody that lives outside the U.S. and they said, for someone outside the U.S., maybe it would be impractical for them to travel to the U.S. for a 10K prize. So they're wondering, is there any way it could be they email you where they don't have to actually travel and get it?
Not me. They can't email me, but there is a way for them to do it. And so that would be teaming up with somebody, right? That was one thing I kind of like that the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt did too, is they kind of encouraged it, right? You can work out whatever, and we say work out whatever deal you want. I think for the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt, they had like a 10% thing. For us, it's, if you know someone that lives where you think it is, or even if you're just in one of these Facebook groups, if you find somebody that's in that area and have them check it out for you, and maybe just split up the prize money that way if you end up being right.
And I'll offer, because I know K-Pro will get on a plane tomorrow. If somebody was like, I have the solve, I know exactly where you got to go. K-Pro will go. So what's that?
Like if I solved, so like Hillary and I guess we're in this situation, right? Because we did solve one of the legs of the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. And fortunately, we did not get on the airplane. We did decide ultimately, it's like, all right, we're going to find someone close by to go to that location and look for us. And I think ultimately, when it's a $10,000 prize, like you can solve it. And I've been there, and I know you guys have been there too, right? Where you've been a part of a team that solved the treasure hunt, and you weren't the first to get it. So I would not take for granted that there's not someone that happened to have the same solve at the same time as you. So I would recommend sending someone else, almost in all circumstances, if possible.
It is literally a race for the treasure. So yeah, that's true. Here's a good one from Faith, our friend Faith Hunter. Do the clues lead you to multiple locations, like on a path to the end? So you go here, and then you go here, and then you go here, or all the clues just you go the one place and that's it? Talking boots on the ground.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to answer that one, but I think that if you solve the whole book, you'll know.
Okay, interesting. So it's a possibility. See, I thought you were going to say no. It's just one, but that's interesting. Okay. So the website, I can give the website, the puzzle website. That's not an issue, right? So it's oneupme.com, just if anybody wants to check that out. I saw on there that there's analogies, or one of the big things, one of the big.
That was the very first game that Jesse created. Yeah.
Okay. So what are 2 or 3 of the most famous analogies for you?
I'm not sure. I mean, off the top of the head, the one I can think of is there was something like, I think it was, she's like scissors, I beat her with a rock, which would be like rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, scissors. Yeah, I see.
That's the first one I can think off the top of my head.
They're like double meaning sayings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So that is wordplay, but for Xavier Marx, maybe there's not wordplay like that.
There could be. I mean, I don't want to rule anything out, certainly.
How many treasure hunting books do you own that actually have a treasure hunt in them?
Do I own? I mean, I own quite a bit just because Hillary was super into it, and she literally like mailed me like 40 books. So I have like 40 books now.
Oh, cool.
In terms of how many I've worked on, I mean, it's been a small amount, right? I worked on the Masquerade Tribute hunt. That was kind of a fun hunt. Obviously, now I'm into the Secret. I'll have a few of those casks in no time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That would, you want some publicity for Xavier Marx, find one of the casts. That would be huge.
Yeah, that would be the goal. I'm actually thinking right now about doing something like with video with that. And I can talk to you about that later too. I got a few different ideas of stuff that could come down the road. Completely lost track of what question I was answering.
Yeah, no, that's great. The what treasure hunting books you have, but yeah, the is a huge.
But I also, so also I've done a lot of research too, though. So if people are just trying to like figure out like, did I pull something from another book? I think our book stands on its own. But I've obviously been inspired by a ton, and I definitely did my research, and Hillary did her research before we created it. So I think I'm very familiar with all the different puzzles that have been out there, and a lot of them excite me, and I'm like, we need to get something like that again in the future.
Alex has got a good question. How long would it take you to explain the full solve to someone? Like in minutes?
Depends how you do it. I don't know. Anywhere from, that's just a weird question to ask.
It is, yeah. They're trying to understand how complicated it is. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know what they're trying to think. That's why I'm like, I don't even, but it's tough because even knowing the answer, it's hard to answer.
Right.
So I guess I just won't answer it. That's a tough one.
Oh, and our old friend 3D Bronze with the super chat says, "Hey Sean, great book. Unfortunately, my dog ate page 31. Can I still solve this thing? And let's get more reviews for them on Amazon." And I will mention that as well. Thank you, 3D Bronze.
Yes, thank you, 3D Runs. We would love more reviews on Amazon, especially if they're 5-star. But hey, we'll take anything.
And again, down in the description is the link to Amazon where you can purchase the book, and please leave a review.
If your dog ate page 31, let's look. Let's look.
And page 31, of course, is the Roman numerals. What a coinky dink.
Oh, it has the Roman numerals. Oh, who would have guessed?
That's crazy. So is that needed to find the proxy?
Well, if your dog ate page 31, that means your dog also ate page 32, right?
Oh, interesting. That's a good point.
So I don't want to give that much away. That'd be giving away 2 pages.
That's a good point. What is page 32? Oh, got it. Okay. All right. So he's not going to answer 3D Bronze, but I think he knew that. But yes, everyone, please go. Well, what do we always say? Support treasure hunt creators. Go buy the book and go leave a review on Amazon, especially if you have the book and you have not done that yet. So here's an interesting one. Do you know who Copper Dan is? Copper Dan, have you heard that?
Yeah, I've never had the pleasure of talking with him, but I'm familiar with him and his hunts. Yeah.
And Copper Dan's the troll cache. So I guess some people are comparing your treasure hunt to the trolls cache. And this person was wondering, what do you think of the comparison if you're familiar with the trolls cache?
Yeah, I didn't work on that one myself. I did kind of watch, I guess, when he gave his like solution or something. I think he had a video. I'm very vague on what I remember from it. So I don't think I'd even be able to comment too much. I did like that hunt though. They had a lot of cool stuff in it.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. Will I have to wear a mask when I go get the prize token?
These days, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know where you have to wear masks anymore. Do you have to wear them anywhere? I don't know.
Right.
I can't keep up with all the, I guess they're saying, is it inside
Indoors
versus outside?
Yes,
but
that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Even there, I don't know, because these days you don't have to, right? Do you have to wear your mask anywhere these days?
True.
I've been out to eat and haven't had to wear it. I don't know.
And in Vegas, you don't have to wear it anymore. They stopped.
I guess there's probably some places that are strict, and if it's in one of those places or not, I don't know. I haven't checked the regulations on the places where it might be.
So you did say you think it'll be solved maybe by end of year, possibly?
I mean, that's my guess. I mean, certainly, like, the more people that buy the book, the more likely it is to be solved, right? Because there'll be the more eyes on it. If it remains this community of, I don't know how many people have the book now, and I know a lot of people have taken a break from it or they come back to it. If there's a big surge in the beginning and everyone puts the book down,
That's true.
I think it comes down to how many people are working on it.
And how many people want to share ideas and information is probably a big part of it.
But I'd like to think we're going to sell a lot of books this year. And if we do, then I do think somebody's going to solve it.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to sell a ton of books and nobody's going to be able to figure it out.
So you don't think it's that hard? I mean, a 1 to 10 difficulty, 10 being,
I mean, as someone that's worked on treasure hunts trying to solve them, as well as trying to make them, I'm very aware that everything looks easy to the treasure hunt creator, right?
Yeah, right.
And I've seen like the comments even from like Byron Price, who created The Secret, saying, I thought these would get solved right away, and his have lasted decades. So it's pretty hard to tell in that aspect, but from my guess, yes, I think it's quite solvable.
Okay. Do you know how much money the book has raised for the foundation so far, or do you guys not know anymore?
I don't know the numbers. Yeah.
Okay.
Hillary's our number person anyway, but I don't even know if she knows the numbers at this point.
And Hillary Ganga is your co-creator. She has been on the show before with her husband and their kids, and we want to get Hillary on the program at some point in the future, and
definitely
pick her brain a little bit. Maybe she'll give up something you won't if you let her come on the show. Oh yeah, somebody just asked, one of the questions was, are you waiting to release the good hints once you've raised a certain amount of money? And that
I will say the good hints are in the book.
Oh, okay. So there are hints in the book that tell you what to do. Okay.
Well, it depends what you see. That's the whole thing. What is a hint? What is a clue? What is a
right?
Yeah. Semantics.
What do you suggest to the treasure hunters out there who are completely stuck on Xavier Marx?
I would suggest, from my own experience trying to solve treasure hunts, taking a break, right? Take a break, come back to it later.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I could say is sometimes you get stuck on something because you think it has to be right. And so this has happened to me, like with The Secret, right? So if you solve something and you say, this has to be right because it makes so much sense. So like there's a treasure that's somewhere in New York, and everyone kind of knows that part. for the secret. And there's a line that says, the Isle of B, right? And so the secret's all about immigration. And so it's the Isle, ISLE of B. And so for the longest time, I was stuck. That has to be Liberty Island, which is where the Statue of Liberty is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Bedloe's Island. And I was 100% on it. I don't think so anymore, right? I have a whole nother theory. I feel very good about it. We'll see. We'll see when I can finally dig.
Right.
But I would say, like, if I take that experience from me treasure hunting, and so I say to somebody working on our puzzles, I would say, if you have something you think has to be true, give yourself a reason to say maybe it's not true and work in a different angle.
Okay.
And I'm just doing that from my own experience. Like, that's my best advice from my experience. I don't know for sure if that's the advice anyone needs.
Are there any intentional red herrings in the book? Is there anything you put that maybe make people think it's this and really it's not? It's something else?
Not necessarily. I would say not blatantly, at least.
Okay. Here's
Yeah,
one.
I don't really believe in that, like, too blatantly, right? Like if I had like it's Xavier Marx and the Missing Masterpieces, right? So, like, if Masterpieces was like a perfect anagram for it's in Houston or something, that, and I did that on purpose,
Right.
and then it wasn't there, I would feel like that's kind of like cheap, right? So there's nothing blatant like that in there.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Randy just asked, are there red herrings? So it sounds like there's no intentional red herrings.
Yeah.
Good
More
one
or
from Chuck. What's the difference to you between a hint and a clue?
Good question, since we're talking the semantics. I would say they're pretty interchangeable for me. Like, especially like if you're going to look at like things I've typed where I've called something a hint or a clue, I definitely don't want to be held to saying something was one way or another way. I think I use them pretty interchangeably.
And I hope I know the answer to this one from Apollo. Does Sean think the solve is very logical?
Yes, and the answer is yes. There's a lot of different types of hunts out there, right? And you look at the ones that last the longest, and I usually find they come into a couple groups, right? There's the ones, at least to me, without knowing the solution to Forrest Fenn, I would say it's just very vague. The reason it hasn't been solved or wasn't solved for so long was just it was super vague. We don't want to go into Forrest Fenn because I know how that goes.
Right.
And then there's other hunts like The Secret, and maybe they haven't been solved just because they're super complicated. But I definitely like hunts that when you finally see the solution, you kind of go, oh yeah, I should have got that.
Exactly.
And then there's the hunts that are like totally random, right? Like Great US Treasure Hunt. Had they not released their hints, which were very over the top, those might still be unsolved today for sure.
That's true. That's true. Here's one from Sassy. Are there any confirmers in the book that you've solved an individual puzzle?
I'm trying to think. Maybe.
So there could be. You got to think it through. So at least
I'm
that's
trying to
not
think
hard.
if there actually are. Yeah, I'm not even just trying to like not answer the question. I don't want to give a wrong answer.
Why is so much of the artwork reused throughout the book?
I don't know. Why did they think it's reused?
You're right.
The most obvious answer sometimes is the right answer.
And that most obvious answer would be you're trying to point attention to it, maybe?
I'm not sure what the most obvious answer is.
Right. Well, yeah, okay. Are we trying to solve one puzzle with multiple parts or multiple puzzles that are individual?
We're trying to get to the spot where the proxy item is. So whatever you got to do to take it into that one spot.
Oh, I see. And and that it totally makes sense. It seems to me that to pinpoint where something is, you kind of got to say it's in this area, and then you go down, and then you go down until you finally are in that exact spot. That's just my opinion, though.
That's one way it could happen. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. What type of puzzles are your favorite to solve?
So I've really enjoyed The Secret, and if I have to think about like why do I enjoy it, I think it's because, at least my belief in the way it works, is that there's a lot of different elements that one at a time you can sort of solve, and it advances you in the puzzle, but yet there's still some level of ambiguity. So like, I don't like the level of ambiguity of like assuming there wasn't more to the forest fen. I'm just using it as an example.
Mm-hmm.
As someone from the outside that basically knows there's this poem, and I know a lot of people believe you just follow the poem, right? If we just use that as an example, like the home of Brown could mean a trillion different things, right?
Right.
But with The Secret, I feel like the way the clues work together, it really can only be one thing. You know, there was like finding the GPS coordinates like hidden in the paintings. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was cool because it's something that you tangibly have some evidence that you've actually solved a piece when you're
Right.
done with it. But then there's other parts of the hunt which are a little more ambiguous, right? Like we get to that Isle of B. Um, and a lot of people say it has to be Bedloe's Island, it has to be Liberty Island.
And
Um,
maybe not.
I've come around to believe it's something else very specifically. And I do believe that there's evidence that pointed me in that direction. So I think a good treasure hunt will have enough evidence that when you've gathered all the evidence, you go to the place and you're like, okay, I'm right about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think that you should. I mean, for me, like in terms of the types of hunts I like, I would not have been a forest fen hunter unless I was a jack, right? Like if I had a back in where I thought I could get to the right spot, I would do that. But I wouldn't just like head to the mountains in that sort of way.
Unless you knew kind of exactly where it was.
Yeah, but how would I know if with just
Yeah.
that poem? It's really hard to say. Like,
Um, and it's interesting. You said GPS numbers and paintings, but anyway, interesting. And that I guess ties into the next one, which is, can we access? Well, I'll tie it in. Can we access the proxy in any type of weather? If somebody thinks they figured this out in December and they're like, but my spot's got 3 feet of snow, could they still retrieve it, or should maybe they wait till spring?
I mean, I personally like if I solved a $10,000 treasure hunt,
Mm-hmm.
I'd go and get the $10,000 treasure.
Right.
Um, no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, I
You
don't
could.
want to give away if it's in an area that has snow or an area that doesn't have snow,
Mhm.
obviously. But like, I feel like if you've solved the entire book, everything that you're meant to solve, and you know exactly where to go,
Right.
I feel like you would go there. Like if you're gonna try to like just be like, hey, I think I know what town or city or mountain or whatever it's on,
Right.
and I'm just gonna go boots on the well, I wouldn't do that. But if I solved it and I know exactly where to go, I'd go over there for sure. It's not like The Secret where it's like, right, like I really have a good theory that I want to test for The Secret in New York, and I
Mhm.
have to dig under 3 feet of ground, and I might have to do that in a bunch of areas. It's not like that, you know.
Okay. And that ties in with 3D bronzes, and we were talking about Jack and the Forrest Fenn thing, and a lot of people believe he grid searched the area. 3D Bronze says if someone's very observant and finds the general area, is it possible they could brute force finding the proxy in less than a day? And if that's the case, if somebody didn't solve all of Xavier Marx, but they solved enough to get to a location, and then they kind of grid searched it or found it, would they still qualify for the prize in that scenario?
I mean, I think the way we worded it in the beginning is you have to come to us with
Mm.
the proxy item, and you can't like masquerade it, right? Like you can't like get my girlfriend to tell you where it is. You have to
Right.
have the proxy item and tell us how you use the book to find it. But certainly, if I made a mistake or Hillary made a mistake in the book,
Hmm.
and there's a way to do it in that way, I mean, as long as you're using the book, you use the book to find your general area.
Right.
Personally, I would not recommend that just because I know where it is and I don't think you're going to find it.
Right.
But you
And
could
fair
try.
enough. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll ask. I don't know if you'll answer, but is the proxy hidden in some way, or is it like wide out and wide open, and somebody has to recognize, oh, that's the proxy from Xavier Marx? People are walking right by it, not even knowing what it is, or is it kind of hidden some way, in some way?
Um, I don't want to answer that because I do feel like the book provides that answer.
Oh, okay, interesting. The book provides the answer. Okay, um, and then of course Randy asked, "Did you work on the Beacon Star?" We had this conversation, but I'll
Yeah,
let you.
we were just talking about. I was just complimenting Mike's shirt. I haven't worked in the Beacon Star yet. It sounds it sounds like I get obsessed with things easily. Right now,
Ah,
I'm obsessed with The Secret, so it's like I almost can't split my time. I only have so much time for treasure hunting at all. I might get into the Beacon Star at some point, though, right? Kind of depends
I think you
where
should.
I end up going with The Secret, because that's kind of like my one right now.
Mhm.
Am I gonna do some video stuff for it? Am I gonna just literally try to dig them up? Am I gonna
Right.
combination of the both? I'm figuring out what is my path right now as a treasure hunter, but
Mhm.
right now I'm on The Secret, and so even like doing the Masquerade tribute, which is coming up, it's like I like to do it because it's another good cause. You know, they're raising money for
Right.
I can't remember what, but I know it's a good cause.
Mhm.
Uh,
I would
so
recommend getting the Beacon Star because, as you said, maybe you want to take a break from The Secret, and it definitely is another rabbit hole to go
I
down.
wonder if
It's
that's one
very
of the ones
logical, and
Hillary.
I think you like it. What's that?
I said I wonder if that's one of the books Hillary sent me yet.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah,
There you go.
I'll probably get it at some point, no matter what, for research though, because I do like and enjoy researching treasure hunts,
Okay.
especially the solved ones, because then I can go right to the good stuff. But I do like looking at what everything else that's out there.
All right. So here's an interesting. Why don't you go by escrow? It's cool because it's like your abbreviated name, SCRO, and escrow means money held by a third party to be given to someone when a condition is met, like prize money to a treasure hunter. So I think that was more of a fun idea. Escrow. That'd be pretty funny.
That has crossed my mind before, not actually going by it, but that
Oh yeah, that's cool. Um, okay, so we're gonna wrap up here, but there is an interesting one that I saw. And is there any questions you would like to ask the Xavier Mark readers that maybe either people could email you, or is there anything you want to know about the community of people that are looking for the treasure?
If anyone wants to show me where they're at, I'd love to see it. I'm not gonna respond to you in a way that gives you any clues. I'll probably
Mhm.
say cool or thanks, but I would love to see it.
And they can just email the email that's in the book
Yeah,
for that?
yeah, we only check that every once in a while, so sometimes I kinda slack on that, so if anyone sent something there,
Okay.
I would say if you send something to our Instagram, I'll probably see it more quickly, but I do check on what's sent there just in case somebody sent, a solve or something, and they're saying, "Oh, the proxy's missing," I have to go and make sure it's still there.
Oh, and is that a consideration that maybe a year or two from now you might check on it to make sure it's still there if nobody has given a
Hopefully it's
solution?
solved. I mean, I'm not really worried about it.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't think it's going anywhere. We did cover our bases too, like in the rules, just to like say, if this happens, what do
Right.
we do? And I think that we came up with and borrowed some from other treasure hunts that we felt had some pretty good rules, just to
Yes.
put all our ducks in a line. But I'm not really worried about it going anywhere.
Okay. Is the spot where the proxy hidden, is it special to you or Hillary before you hit it?
Nope. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no forced fenning. You can't
Yeah.
just study me to figure out where it is.
So knowing you or Hillary is not going to help. Your background is not going to help. It's all in the book.
It's not going to help.
Okay.
Or
Uh,
it could hurt because maybe you'll have you might think something and just be wrong.
right. And Apollo had another one here. Let me see where it is. I believe it was something like if somebody has the solution, they'll absolutely 100% know they're right if they've solved it, and it's right.
I mean, they'll be at least as confident as the people that have known they're right and been wrong.
Yeah. Nice.
I mean, that's another hard one to say because I kind of know what I'm not sure who it was, but whatever
Apollo.
that person's getting at.
Mhm.
So not
Oh,
quite
there it is.
that
There
one.
it is. If someone solves it completely, how certain will they be that they're correct? But I guess you answered it.
Yeah, I know what they're getting at, so I'm not quite gonna answer it other than beating around the bush there a little bit, right? Like you're gonna know, right?
Mhm.
Like
I would
if
hope
if
so.
I- if I if I had been the solver, hadn't
Mhm.
known anything about the puzzle, and figured everything out that there's to figure out, I would be sending someone there right
Yeah,
away.
I mean, in other words, how can it be random coincidence that I got this particular message, But then I
I
look at Forrest Fenn's poem, and there's some random coincidences there where I'm just like, that boggles my mind. But anyway, that's a different
Yeah, you
story.
can have fun coincidences. I
Mhm.
do think you will know where it is.
Gotcha.
In
And then
one way or another.
Lucky Digger says, I don't have the book, but maybe I will get one because I could use $10,000. Well, couldn't we all? So
Someone's gonna win, right? So
that's right. Somebody
someone has
better
to
win.
do it. Yeah.
Um, all right.
A good time to get in too. While the book sales are low, you have less competition.
That's true. That's true. And somebody did ask, will there be a Zoom tonight? I will open up the Zoom for Xavier Mark's discussion. Anybody can join. If you're on my Zoom list, you'll get the email. Sean, you're welcome to join if you want to. just to listen in. And maybe I'll even put the link in the Facebook group, and that way maybe new people could join and just say, hey, what's going on? And last question, is there a question that we should have asked you that you think that we haven't?
Not necessarily. I mean, I haven't really thought about that. So I
Okay.
think, yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying the book. I hope everyone's working through. I hope everyone's found something. I think that's part of our intention too. We don't want people just to stare at this book and say, I got nothing, right? You want
Right.
everyone to feel like they're making progress, right or wrong, and they feel like they got something and they're working their way down one road or another, whether it's the right road or the wrong road. Hopefully they found a road to work their way down. And
Those
so I hope that people are having fun.
darn Roman numerals. Okay. All right, I think that's it. Hey, we really appreciate it. I really hope book sales skyrocket. Everybody, if you haven't got it, go to Amazon and check it out. Do you have the next celebrity lined up for the next hint, or is that still in the works?
Not yet. So if anyone knows one, send them our way.
All right, cool, for sure, because there's nothing wrong with hints, unless the hints are just as complicated to figure out as some of the puzzles. But it has been fun to go through the hints and try and figure out what they mean.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes when you're solving puzzles, like you get a hint and you'd be better off just sticking with the original puzzle, right? There's enough in the book. So I know sometimes people get irritated with the hints or whatever. And I'd say you can always choose to ignore them if you want, because the book has enough.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for everybody who emailed questions in. Xavier, Marx, and the missing masterpieces. Somebody's going to find it. Why not one of us, everybody? And if anybody wants to send, if anybody's been boots on the ground and didn't find it, if you want to send me your stories, I'd love to do a show on just where people have looked and, the fun that they've had on looking. Now, I understand some people might not want to share because they still think they're in the right area, but all right. Thank you for coming on, Sean. And maybe a couple months down the road, you come on and give us an
Definitely.
update.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks everybody in the chat for watching.
Okay. See you guys. Next Thursday's Beacon Star Thursday. See you, everybody.